If you're a gifted student, should you consider going to a school for gifted students, a special school? The answer is, yeah, you should consider it. You should know your options. Should you do it? That depends. If you are in a school situation where you enjoy school, you've got friends, it's providing you the challenge that you enjoy, that you like, then there's no need to change. If you don't feel like you're challenged and you feel like you're bored all the time and you feel like the school's not doing enough to support you and challenge you, I think you should definitely consider it. You do sacrifice some things potentially with extracurriculars and things like that. If you enjoy your experience, you shouldn't just jump to the new experience just because you can. But everybody's got a different story, and so you got to know who you are and what you want out of your education. And maybe you do need to consider applying to one of these special schools. But don't just do it just because you can, just because you got the grades or whatever. Do your research. I want to talk about why you struggle with perfectionism if you were in the gifted program. What happens with a lot of gifted students is you get put into a program and everyone tells you, you're smart, you're smart, you're smart, and you get great grades, you get perfect grades, you challenge yourself, everybody tells you you're smart, you're smart, you're smart. What happens is over time, what you're doing for your academic work becomes your actual identity, and it gets so wrapped up in it that when you finally hit something that's a little bit beyond your level and you actually have to try for it, you feel like you shouldn't have to try for it, and now all of a sudden you're being challenged as not smart. I'm not smart anymore. Stop that. It's not your fault. You've been trained to think that way, but don't think that way. You are smart. In fact, the smartest people in the world have to overcome lots and lots of obstacles. So if you're running into obstacles, what that means is not that you're not smart. It means that you're finally being challenged at a level that's appropriate for you. So embrace the challenge. I know it's super hard, but don't let your identity become wrapped up in education. And that goes for everyone.
What does it mean to be gifted? So the person you really want to talk to is a guy named Joe Renzulli. I refer to him as the godfather of gifted education. He's got 3 things that he says, if you're gifted, you've got these 3 things, which are above average ability, so significantly above average in an academic area, task commitment, which basically means that you're willing to stick to a task no matter what. And then the third is actually creativity, and that's creativity within that academic domain. So creativity within language or within math or science, or creativity within artistic ability, things like that. And the big thing with Joe Renzulli is he actually says giftedness can be fluid, which is not commonly accepted in education, even though it should be, which is basically like you can be gifted for a time in an area and then you lose task commitment or you lose creativity or whatever, but you can get that back. And so that above average ability typically always exists, but those other 2 can be a little bit fluid. So I hope that helps you understand what does it mean to be gifted.
Why do gifted students burn out in school? Any student could get burnout because they know what they want to do with their lives, and the things they're doing in school don't necessarily apply to those things. The reason gifted students burn out in school is very similar to why other students burn out in school. They don't see how it applies to them, because oftentimes it doesn't. Or they get overloaded with work and they don't see the point in it. So again, that's the same for everyone. But with gifted students, they tend to know what they want to do and what they want to pursue, what they're passionate about at a higher rate than regular students in your general class. And so the reason that you think of gifted students as burning out faster than other students is just because there's a higher rate of them that are all ready to move on to the next phase of life. It's just more common for gifted students to already be there. And so gifted burnout is real, really student burnout in general is real because a higher rate of them are all ready to move on to the next phase of life, and they've already can see past the pretend value in some of the things that are going on. If you are stuck in quarantine right now and you're like, I just wish I had something to do. I'm so bored, there's nothing going on, and you're starting to feel a little bit of sadness, a little bit maybe depressed because there's nothing for you to do, that is how a lot of gifted kids feel when they're stuck in a classroom and they're not challenged and they finish everything early and they get antsy and they start like looking for something to do, or they start getting sad and sleeping and things like that. It's because there's nothing to challenge them and there's nothing to look forward to in that class and they're bored. So I just want to point that out to you. I'm not saying being gifted doesn't have advantages. I'm not saying, having high intelligence doesn't have advantages and stuff like that. But before you think that it would be just super easy to be gifted and whatever, just remember, being bored all the time and having nothing to challenge you and nothing to look forward to kind of sucks.